I am Susan Schmidt, and I teach French for the Falmouth Public Schools, and I am a library trustee here for the Jonathan Bourne Public Library. So I'm going to read some French-themed stories for you, and my first is Jan Brett's Beauty and the Beast. Okay, so once upon a time, there lived a merchant's daughter, so lovely and kind that all who knew her called her Beauty. Beauty lived with her father and 2 sisters in wealth and without worry. Then suddenly their father lost everything when his ships, laden with riches, vanished at sea. The family, now penniless, fled to a country cottage. There they had to do all the work themselves. Beauty's sisters cried and grumbled, but Beauty worked on bravely and tried to comfort her father before leaving for the port. The merchant asked his daughters what they missed most so that he could bring them each a present. The first sister asked for beautiful gowns. The second sister asked for a coach and 4 horses. Beauty asked only for a rose, since the cottage garden was filled with cabbages. Upon reaching the ship, the merchant found the cargo spoiled and worthless. Poorer than ever, he headed home through the deep forest until snow covered the path and he was lost. Just when he was too tired to go on, he saw an avenue of orange trees, untouched by the snow, and beyond them a grand palace. He rode toward it, hoping for shelter. Ornate doors opened wide, and the merchant entered a great hall. Strangely, he saw no one, neither master nor servant, but a sumptuous hot meal waited on the table. He ate and fell sound asleep in his chair. In the morning, he woke up and found fresh new clothes and a breakfast of delicious fruits and steaming tea waiting for him. He ate quickly and went outside, where a magnificent horse, all fitted out, stood waiting to take him home. Just as the merchant was about to mount the horse, he spied a bed of roses. Remembering his promise to Beauty, he knelt down and picked one. Immediately he heard a dreadful, angry roar. He looked up and saw a fearsome beast standing above him. "How dare you harm my roses?" the beast cried. "A rose that is cut can only die. You shall pay for your ingratitude with your life." I have taken this rose only as a gift for one of my daughters, the faithful Beauty," the terrified merchant pleaded. The beast glared at him. "I will spare your life, but only if one of your daughters willingly returns in your stead," he growled. I cannot send you a daughter," the merchant told the beast, "but I promise I will return after I bid them goodbye." The merchant arrived home and gave Beauty the rose, but it was a somber homecoming as he told the grim story of the beast and his cruel punishment. Beauty would not hear of her father's return to the palace and certain death. He would never have plucked the rose if it were not for her. She would go to the palace, and nothing her father said could dissuade her. When Beauty and her father reached the palace, the ornate doors opened once again. Fear took hold of them as they went inside. Suddenly, a fearsome creature, part man, part animal, moved out of the shadows. Overcoming her terror, Beauty stepped forward and greeted him. "Good evening, my lord." The beast ignored her and presented her father with a casket containing a fortune in coins and jewels. "You have kept your promise," he growled. "This will restore your house handsomely. Now be gone." And he walked off into the darkness. The merchant bade a tearful farewell to his faithful daughter. Then the great doors opened and he departed, leaving Beauty quite alone. Thus Beauty began her new life in the palace. A troop of monkeys in court dress appeared to serve her. A charming little dog became her page. A beautiful bird led Beauty to a magnificent bedchamber filled with all her favorite things. The beast was nowhere to be seen, and it became clear that she was not in danger. Beauty was free to amuse herself in any way she wished. She spent the day wandering all over the palace and exploring the beautiful gardens, many of them filled with exquisite roses. That evening, she was taken to a candlelight dinner. As animal musicians began to play, the beast appeared. Beauty drew back, frightened, but the beast's courtly manners disarmed her fears. The beast reassured Beauty with charming conversation until it grew late. Then he fell silent. At last he spoke. "Beauty, will you marry me?" Beauty, lowering her eyes, replied, "Pray, do not ask me that." The days passed happily for Beauty. She even began to look forward to the evenings and her conversations with the beast. His thoughtful ways began to win her trust. But Beauty always dreaded the moment when he took his leave, for he would always ask, "Beauty, will you marry me?" It grew more and more painful for her to say, "Pray, do not ask me." Then came a day that passed so happily that when the beast joined her for dinner, Beauty spoke of her great joy. "The flowers in the gardens have never been more beautiful," she told him, "and the musicians have never played more sweetly." The beast again asked for her hand, and with such tender hope she said, "I cannot marry you, beast, but I will indeed stay here willingly as long as I shall live, if only you will grant me one request. Let me say goodbye to my father and to the world I leave behind." A mournful look came over the beast. "Return before the moon is full, faithful Beauty, or you will break your poor beast's heart." Then he placed a golden ring on her finger and said, "When you wish to come back, turn this ring 3 times around and say aloud, 'I want to be in the palace of the beast again.'" Immediately, Beauty was back in the grand house of her childhood. She watched her father bartering for goods and her sisters ordering their maids about, just as they had always done. Seeing Beauty, they all flew to her in amazement. Her father embraced her, and her sisters asked question after question about her strange life in the palace and about the monster who ruled there. Beauty tried to explain her admiration for the beast and the wonders of the palace, but even her father did not understand. The weeks at home went by in a whirl. Laughing young men coaxed Beauty to go out for walks and rides. Her father escorted her to concerts and the opera. Her sisters took her to fancy balls. Beauty had no time to think of the Beast, and she completely forgot her promise to him. One night, after much gaiety and dancing, Beauty fell asleep and dreamed that she was back in the palace garden, now strangely dark and cold. She searched and searched, looking for something she had lost. Then she saw the Beast on the ground, still as death. Beauty woke up stricken with grief. None of the past weeks meant as much to her as her life with the Beast. She turned the golden ring 3 times around her finger and said aloud, "I want to be in the palace of the Beast again." At once, Beauty found herself at the palace gates. She ran into the garden, and there she found the still form of her beloved Beast. Fearing that he might have left this world, Beauty knelt down and took the Beast in her arms and wept. Her tears, raining down upon his furry head, woke him up, and he looked at her. "Dearest Beast," she implored, "you must be strong and live so that we may be husband and wife, for I love you so." When these words were spoken, stars fell from the sky, and the palace was illuminated as if by 1,000 candles. Before her, Beauty saw the radiant face of a handsome prince. Her promise to marry the Beast out of love had unlocked a fantastic spell. Taking Beauty's hand in his, the young prince explained that some years before, a meddlesome fairy, displeased with people for judging others by their appearance, had cast a spell over the palace and everyone in it. The servants were changed into animals, and the prince was turned into the ugliest and most fearsome beast in the forest. The spell would only be broken when a young maiden fell in love with the Beast and promised to marry him. And that is what Beauty had done. There was much rejoicing within the palace that night, but no one was happier than Beauty and the prince. They were married the very next day and lived happily ever after. The next story is Coco the Carrot, written and illustrated by Stephen Salerno. And it is dedicated to all those who venture beyond the vegetable bin. Okay. Coco the Carrot lived in a cold, cramped vegetable bin. She didn't like it one bit. None of the other vegetables liked it either, but they were too afraid to leave. Coco was different. Early one morning, she climbed out of the bin. "Goodbye," Coco whispered. In the next room, she found a sewing basket and made herself a beautiful green hat. "Splendid! Now I am ready to see the world," said Coco, admiring herself in the mirror. She rode the elevator down to the lobby. The doorman hailed a taxi, and Coco hopped into the back seat. "Where to?" asked the driver. "Paris," shouted Coco. "I can't take you there myself, but I can take you to a ship that leaves for Paris today, okay?" Perfect, said Coco. So off they drove to the pier. The taxi screeched to a stop. The ship's whistle blew loudly. Wogue! All aboard for Paris, called the captain. Coco scurried up the gangway, the last one to board. The great ship sailed out of the harbor. Coco was shown to a cabin with a little round window overlooking the ocean. This will do nicely, she said. That evening at dinner, Coco was invited to sit with the captain and his other guests. Although none of them had ever met a carrot before, they found Coco to be charming and witty. Tell me, Coco, my dear, what is it that you do? Asked an elegant woman. Well, I made this hat, answered Coco politely. Ah, so you are a hat designer, exclaimed the captain. Yes, I guess I am, said Coco. It is a fabulous hat. Could you make one for me? Asked the elegant woman. Yes, of course, replied Coco. I'll make new hats for all of you. Coco wrote down their names and addresses on a slip of paper, put it in her pocket, and promised to make their hats as soon as she arrived in Paris. One afternoon, Coco sat in a deck chair reading a book. Suddenly, a cook stepped onto the deck. He glared at Coco. It made her nervous. I know what you are, snapped the cook. You're just a carrot that belongs in my soup. I'm going to Paris, Coco said. No, you're not, yelled the cook, and chased poor Coco all around the ship's deck. Coco hid behind one of the lifeboats, her heart thumping. Where are you, my tasty little carrot? Sneered the cook. He spotted Coco's green. Coco leaped aside. She fell through the ship's railing and splashed into the ocean far below. Help me, she cried, but no one could hear her tiny voice. Coco clung to a piece of driftwood as the huge ship moved slowly away. Coco's teeth chattered, and the icy waves tossed her all about. It was a long, lonely night. Coco wished she had never left her vegetable bin. The following morning, the waves were calm, and the ocean sparkled in the sun. Coco washed ashore on a beautiful tropical island. It's so exotic, she exclaimed. Coco explored and met a friendly monkey. The monkey's name was Anton. He showed Coco how to climb a coconut tree, and Coco showed Anton how to play shuffleboard. Together, they made a home out of sticks with a roof of palm leaves to keep them dry when it rained. They became the best of friends. During the day, they swam in the ocean and played on the beach. At night, Coco sang and Anton danced around the fire. Although Coco had not made it to Paris, she wanted to keep her promise to make hats for all the friends she had met on the ship. Coco began to make a different style hat for each name on her list. She used leaves, grass, vines, bark, flowers, shells, and pieces of sailcloth Anton had found washed up on the beach. Each hat Coco created was more beautiful than the last. All of her hats are there. Anton made hat boxes of bamboo. He placed a hat inside each one and tied down the lid with a vine. On the outside of the lid, Coco wrote a name, Hats by Coco, Tropical Isle. Together, Coco and Anton placed all of the hat boxes in the ocean. They watched the tide carry them away. "Thank you, Anton, for all your help," said Coco. She gave him a handsome blue hat as a gift. The bamboo hat boxes floated to cities all around the world. Everyone on the list received a hat from Coco. When the captain received his hat, he said, "Aye, aye." Soon, many other people saw these hats and wanted one too. "We want hats made by Coco," they all cried. They sent letters and email to the largest hat factory in all the world, located in Paris, and demanded hats made by Coco. "Who is this Coco?" asked Mademoiselle Chapeau, the owner of the hat factory. "I must find her. She must come to Paris and create hats for me. I will make her famous." Mademoiselle Chapeau had one of the bamboo hat boxes delivered to her office. She put on her glasses and examined the box carefully. "Aha!" she cried. On the bottom of the box, in tiny letters, was written, "Hats by Coco, Tropical Isle." Mademoiselle Chapeau immediately hired an airplane and set off to find the mysterious and talented Coco. She searched every tropical island in the world, but Coco was nowhere to be found. Just as Mademoiselle Chapeau was about to give up, the pilot said he knew of a small tropical island that wasn't on any map. "Take me there now," ordered Mademoiselle Chapeau. Coco and Anton were gathering coconuts when they spotted the airplane circling over their island. The pilot landed the plane on the beach. "Are you Coco the hat designer?" asked Mademoiselle Chapeau, a bit surprised to see a carrot. "Yes," said Coco, "I am." "I'm here to take you to Paris. Design hats for me and I will make you famous," exclaimed Mademoiselle Chapeau. "Paris?" asked Coco. "Anton, we are going to Paris." So off they flew through the night all the way to Paris. Mademoiselle Chapeau found an apartment for Coco and Anton in a wonderful old building. Coco painted a picture of a palm tree on the wall. Anton felt right at home, swinging from the chandeliers. The very next day, Mademoiselle Chapeau brought Coco and Anton to the hat factory. She introduced them to all the helpers. Coco started work immediately on sketches for new hats. Mademoiselle Chapeau placed Anton in charge of all the machines. Giant rolls of fabric arrived in trucks. 100 helpers cut and sewed the fabric, adding bows, bangles, buttons, beads, ribbons, feathers, and lace. So many sewing machines were all working at once that the factory sounded like a giant bumblebee. Buzz, 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 buzz. At the far end of the factory, each hat was placed into a hat box. Then the hat boxes headed onto trucks, delivered to the airport, and flown to hat shops around the world. All the hat shop owners placed large signs in their front windows. They read, "Hats by Coco." The hat shops quickly filled with new customers. Soon, it seemed, everyone was wearing one of Coco's fabulous new hats. After work each day, Coco and Anton walked through the streets of Paris, taking in all the sights. Day after day, hundreds of hats were made at the factory. Coco was busy drawing new hat designs while Mademoiselle Chapeau paced back and forth on the factory floor. Reporters from magazines, newspapers, and television visited the factory to interview the talented Coco the Carrot. One evening, the Hat Society of Paris held a spectacular gala ball in honor of Coco. Hat shop owners from all over the world flew to Paris to attend. Anton received the silver medallion for his special skills. Coco was presented with the Golden Hat Award for her many beautiful hat designs. The mayor of Paris kissed Coco on both cheeks. The people attending the gala ball cheered, whistled, and clapped. Mademoiselle Chapeau was so proud. Everyone danced late into the night. After the ball, Coco and Anton walked home together. Coco noticed that Anton looked sad. When they returned to their apartment, Anton sat up in the chandelier, his tail drooping. "Do you miss our tropical island?" Coco asked her friend. Anton nodded tearfully. "I do. I do too," said Coco. The very next morning, Coco said goodbye to Mademoiselle Chapeau. "We're homesick for our tropical island," she explained. Mademoiselle Chapeau was very sad to see Coco and Anton leave. Coco promised to visit her once a year and bring new hat designs. At the airport, hundreds of people had gathered to say goodbye. Mademoiselle Chapeau kissed Coco and Anton on both cheeks and presented them with their very own airplane. "Au revoir, Paris. Merci beaucoup," Coco shouted to the crowd. Anton started the engine. The propeller whirred. He guided the plane down the runway and up into the sky. Anton looped their new plane twice around the Eiffel Tower and headed home. The next morning, they arrived back at their tropical island, safe and sound. During the day, they swam in the ocean and played on the beach. At night, Coco sang and Anton danced around the fire just as before. Coco and Anton are still there today. Sometimes Coco makes a new hat just for the fun of it. Anton places it in a bamboo box and ties down the lid with a vine. Together, they place the hat box in the ocean and watch the tide carry it away. So don't be surprised if one day you find a bamboo hat box on your doorstep. Inside will be a beautiful hat made by Coco the Carrot.